Okay, so, everywhere you look these days, people seem to be talking about this new Netflix series,
Adolescence.
Adolescence, yeah. So we thought we'd take a deep dive, really unpack things.
Yeah.
I mean, there's this great piece in the Pinnacle Gazette,
Race.
and, everyone's talking about this show and the issues it raises.
Yeah. Youth violence, online culture,
Exactly.
big stuff.
Huge, huge issues.
Yeah. And look, the numbers are already pretty staggering.
Right.
24.3 million views, like just right out the gate.
Yeah.
93 million hours watched.
Yeah, that's
I
wild.
mean, that's a lot of engagement.
Absolutely, absolutely. And it's a really disturbing story at the heart of it, right?
Yeah.
15-year-old kid, Jamie Miller,
Hmm.
played by Owen Cooper,
Right.
and he's arrested for the murder of his classmate, Katie Leonard.
It's heavy stuff.
And what's so interesting about this show is that they filmed each episode in a single continuous take.
Oh, wow.
It's like, the Pinnacle Gazette really highlights this. It's immersive.
And I've heard about this.
I haven't actually watched it yet, but
Well, I mean, that must be intense for the viewer.
right.
You're right there, like in the moment the whole time.
Absolutely. And I think that's something we should definitely come back to because it seems to really play into the whole feel, the tone.
Yeah, the rawness
Yeah.
that the article was talking about.
Right. But okay, let's get into some of the specifics here, okay?
Sure.
One of the core things that this show tackles is this issue of youth knife crime.
Yeah, that's a big one.
And the Pinnacle Gazette doesn't shy away from the statistics here.
No.
It's pretty disturbing stuff. So how does the show use this fictional story of Jamie to
Yeah.
kind of give us a real look into this bigger societal problem?
Well, I mean, like you said, they actually cite some pretty hard-hitting figures in the article
Yeah.
from the Office for National Statistics.
Mhm.
And it's for like the last year, 2023, 2024.
Okay.
And it says 83%.
83%.
Yeah, of teenage homicides in England and Wales
Wow.
involved a blade.
That's a huge percentage.
It's disturbing, right?
Yeah. So Jamie's story, even though it's fictional,
Right.
becomes this kind of way for us to connect with these very real and very tragic.
It's like a window into something.
Exactly, exactly. And it seems like Adolescence doesn't stop at just, showing the crime
Mhm.
and the immediate, aftermath.
Right.
It really wants to dig into the why.
Yeah, those root causes.
The root causes, the
Yeah.
pressures, the societal factors,
Exactly.
that might push a kid toward this kind of violence.
It's like a nature versus nurture kind of.
Yeah, what are some of the things that they're exploring there?
Well, they mentioned that Stephen Graham,
Oh, okay, one of the co-creators.
yeah, he was really inspired by these news stories he was seeing
Yeah.
about, well, young boys
Yeah.
committing acts of violence.
Mm-hmm.
And he had this question, right?
Like, how does this happen?
Yeah, how does this happen? How does a kid, seemingly promising
Right, right.
end up going down such a dark path?
And the article mentions that the show really focuses on the immediate aftermath of Jamie's arrest. Like
Yeah.
we see the investigation unfold
Mhm.
almost in real time. So we're seeing the police procedures,
Yeah, the protocols.
the protocols they follow when
Yeah.
they're dealing with a juvenile.
Uh-huh. I wonder what they're going for with that.
Do you think it's like, to really show us how it happens?
I think so.
Not in a sensationalized way,
No.
but in a very
Ground.
grounded, raw way.
Yeah.
Now, one thing that really struck me in the Pinnacle Gazette piece was the focus on online culture
Okay. Yeah.
and how that plays into this whole idea of toxic masculinity.
That's a big one these days.
Absolutely. So they show Jamie,
Yeah.
and he seems like he's got a good home life.
Okay.
He's doing well in school.
So kind of your average kid.
On the surface, yeah.
Yeah.
But he gets caught up in this dark underbelly of the internet.
Right, right.
How does the show portray that?
Well, it's really interesting because
Yeah.
it kind of highlights how even kids who seem to have it all together
Yeah.
can be really susceptible
Right.
to these negative online influences.
Yeah. What are some of the things that they're focusing on there?
Well, they talk a lot about masculinity
Yeah.
and male rage
Mm-hmm.
and how those things are kind of twisted and distorted
Okay.
in these online spaces.
And it's not like the show is saying, oh, well, Jamie's not to blame because
They're not making excuses. It's more
That's-
like they're trying to understand
Understand.
what might have led him down that road.
Yeah. The article specifically mentions social media, right? And extremist ideologies like radical incel culture and online misogyny.
Right, which are all incredibly toxic.
Yeah, for those of us who might not be totally familiar, what is radical incel culture?
So it's this online subculture,
Okay.
and it's mostly men
Okay.
who feel this intense resentment towards women.
Resentment.
Yeah, often because they feel rejected or they feel like they're owed something.
Entitled.
Yeah, entitled. And online spaces, unfortunately, kind of give them this echo chamber where these feelings can fester and grow.
And they can connect with others.
Right, and it becomes dangerous.
Yeah. There's this really interesting section in the Pinnacle Gazette where they talk about this pivotal therapy session
Oh, yeah.
that happens in episode 3.
Okay.
So Jamie's, speaking with a court-appointed therapist, and it seems like this is a really crucial moment for the audience to
Get inside his head.
get inside his head. Yeah.
And understand him a bit more.
Absolutely. What did they focus on in the article?
Well, they mentioned how the actors Owen Cooper and Aaron Doherty,
Oh, okay, she plays the therapist.
right? They talk about how challenging it was to film these long, continuous takes.
Right, because they have to stay in character.
Yeah, and keep that emotional intensity
Yeah.
going for however long the scene is.
I mean, it sounds exhausting.
Yeah, but it seems like it really paid off.
Right, because it created this really authentic feeling.
Exactly. They really wanted to get to the truth.
To the truth of what was going on with Jamie.
Yeah.
And I'm curious, do you think that whole filming style, that really immersive approach,
Right.
helps us, the viewers, connect more with Jamie's struggles?
I think it does.
Yeah.
Yeah, even though, we can't condone what he did,
Yeah.
but it puts you right there in the room with him,
Yeah.
experiencing those emotions.
Yeah, you can't look away. One of the things that the Pinnacle Gazette points out is that the show doesn't really offer any easy answers.
Oh, interesting.
It doesn't try to wrap everything up with a nice little bow. It leaves us with questions about what led Jamie to do what he did.
So it's more thought-provoking.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So it's not just about giving us, the facts of the case,
Right.
but it's about making us think
Exactly.
about the bigger picture.
The bigger picture. Yeah.
Now, the ending, according to the article, sounds incredibly powerful. It focuses on Jamie's family,
Okay.
and they're confronting the consequences.
Of his actions.
Yeah.
Of course.
Not just for them.
Right.
But for everyone involved, for society.
Exactly. It ripples outwards.
And there's this quote in the article from Stephen Graham where he talks about the decision to end the series in the room
Okay.
where the person who Jamie became was created.
Wow. That's powerful.
Right.
Yeah, very symbolic.
Yeah, yeah. So it's not just about Jamie's individual choices. It's about the environment, the context that shaped him. Now, here's something interesting. A lot of people are loving the show, and they're wanting more.
A second season.
A second season. But the Pinnacle Gazette says that Netflix is sticking with the limited series format.
Okay.
Why do you think that is?
Well, I think it makes sense in a way.
Yeah.
Because it allows them to tell this really focused story without feeling like they have to
Drag it out.
Yeah.
Yeah. So to kind of wrap things up here.
Yeah.
It sounds like Adolescence is really serving as this lens through which we can examine
All these complex issues.
Yeah, like youth violence, the dangers of online radicalization,
Right.
the impact of digital culture on young people.
On everyone, really.
Yeah, on everyone, but especially young people.
Yeah, because they're the most vulnerable.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's a show that clearly wants to get people thinking.
Yeah, and talking.
And engaging in these really important conversations.
And look, I mean, the fact that so many people are watching it shows that there's a real desire for this kind of honest conversation.
So as we finish up our deep dive into Adolescence, I want to leave you, the listener, with this question.
Okay.
We talked about how the show really highlights the dark side of online culture.
Yeah.
Especially these extremist ideology.
Like the incel stuff.
Yeah, the incel stuff, the online misogyny. So I'm wondering, what responsibility do you think online platforms.
Social media companies.
Social media companies, yeah. What responsibility do they have to make sure that young people aren't being exposed?
All this toxic stuff.
All this toxic stuff, right. Because it's shaping their worldview. Yeah. It's shaping how they see themselves, how they see others.
Yeah, and it's a big question.
Huge, huge question.
Yeah.
And then I guess, to follow on from that, we've got those really scary statistics about youth knife crime.
Yeah.
And the show sort of explores the root causes.
Right.
So what do we do? What can we as a society do to intervene?
Yeah.
To stop this from happening?
To help these kids.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not an easy answer.
No, but I think it's a conversation we have to have.
Absolutely. It's essential.
Yeah, it's essential. So Adolescence is definitely a show that'll stick with you.
Yeah, it's not just entertainment.
It's more than that.
It's a call to action in a way.
It is.
To really think about these issues.
And to talk about them.
Oh, yeah.
And to try and find solutions.
To keep the conversation going.
Exactly. So thanks for joining us for this deep dive. We really hope it's given you some food for thought. And maybe some motivation to watch Adolescence if you haven't already.
Or to rewatch it.
Or to rewatch it, yeah, with a new perspective.
Thanks,
and to keep these conversations going in your own life.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
It's been great having you. Thanks, everyone.